Hi, it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media here in Houston, and I am delighted to be in the studio with our keynote speaker from this morning. This is Sal. I'm just going to go with Sal because it's easier. But a professor from Campbell University and also has a very popular podcast, What's Going On with Shipping. And he is our man when it comes to shipping with the big 50,000
Foot view.
foot view. Yeah, I love that. So we've been talking a lot at Breakbulk about the Ships Act, but I think your point is that yes, but the bigger issue is for the first time in a very long time, the United States is looking at having a maritime policy, developing that.
Right. I think, if you look at the United States, especially Cold War and post-Cold War, we've looked at having a naval strategy. We've looked at having a military, but here we're talking commercial. And in particularly how important global shipping is to the economy of the United States. We're a massive exporting nation. We're a massive importing nation. Yet for most Americans, they don't know that. They sit there very, very much, happy and assume everything is happening. Goods will arrive on the shelves. There's going to be fuel at the gas station. Everything seems fine. But as we've been, kind of reminded repeatedly, hey, there are disturbances. There's the Ever Given in the Suez. There was the supply chain crisis, 109 ships off LA and Long Beach. We saw the catastrophic collapse of the bridge in Baltimore. We've got the Houthi out in the Red Sea. And people are realizing that actually our well-being is integrated into global trade. And so having a national maritime policy that doesn't just look at Navy and military, but commercial is very much important for the well-being of not just the United States, but really the global economy.
Absolutely. So where is the government in that process? Putting the government closure aside. Okay, putting that aside. But where are they in developing that policy?
So there are three kind of parallel developments going on at the same time. You have out of the Trump administration an executive order about restarting shipbuilding in the United States. We've got the U.S. Trade Representative Section 301 report on Chinese maritime dominance, started back in the Biden administration and now being pushed through by the U.S. Trade Rep Jameson Greer. And then you have the Ships Act, which is a bipartisan piece of legislation. It was actually submitted in the last Congress, resubmitted in this Congress, being led by Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona, a Democrat, the only merchant mariner in the Congress. He's a graduate of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. I was graduated across the river at New York Maritime, so a little bit of a difference. But he put through, and what's interesting about this is it is a bipartisan bill. I mean, it has Republican, Democrat. It's the co-sponsors are from Arizona and Indiana. So it's not on the coast. It doesn't
Right,
have
I was going to
ports.
say not really states you associate with maritime.
But states that are absolutely dependent on trade and commerce.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that recognition. And unlike, when you see hearings of Congress in like judicial appointments, they are very polarized. That is not the case when we look at hearings in the House and Senate on shipping. Very bipartisan. Everybody really realizes that. And that's why I think this is a much different environment than ever before in U.S. history. You got to go back to the set, maybe 1970, but even maybe in the 1930s to see where America is so laser focused on what's going on with shipping. Hence the name of my title of the podcast.
Well, yes. So where are we? And do you think the development is going in the right direction?
So right now, obviously, the bill's been introduced. Now this is where we start running into the issues. So the bill went into 12 House committees. That's not a good sign when you're in 12 House committees. It looks like two of them are going to take the lead, armed services and transportation and infrastructure. And I think that's kind of where it needs to be, especially in transportation and infrastructure. We're seeing right now appointments to head the Maritime Administration and two new commissioners for the Federal Maritime Commission. They've been recommended, but they haven't had their hearings yet. So we're kind of getting a little bit of a mixed sign. We started off very strong out of the gates for the Trump administration. Same thing here with the submission of the Ships Act with the new Congress. But now we're hitting that hurdle where, okay, we need to see some action. We need to see hearings, and more importantly, we really need to see a development plan. One of the things that's in this SHIPS Act is the appointment of a national maritime advisor, kind of a czar for shipping. And I think that's a really important element, because what you need is somebody to kind of help shepherd this through. And it's not going to be just a single individual. There'll be a board made up of, major players involved in that. It will also create a fund where money is going to go in from the port fees to help fund this. So I think
We do need money.
we do need money. There's again, that's always the key here. Is like there's got to be appropriations. There's got to be money to fund this, because it can't be done without that. But I do think we're kind of at an inflection point right now. One of the things that comes out of the president's executive order is the development of what's called a Maritime Action Plan. That's supposed to be in November, where they kind of lay out what are the steps necessary to take this next, avenue. So obviously the end of this year is going to be very important to see what happens. We're early in the second Trump administration. We're a year in. And so what happens over the next 3 years in this administration is really going to be determined by what happens at the end of this year.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we definitely want you to come back for an update next year.
I'm looking forward to it.
Perhaps before that.
I appreciate being here. It is an unbelievable event. It is huge. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come here and be with you.
Well, thank you for all your great information. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.